NFL Power Rankings. It is currently 6 in the morning as I am recording this video. Stayed up all night. So, I'm having fun. But yeah, let's get started in here. Number 32, we got the Carolina Panthers falling 5 spots. So they played bad this week. Kind of like usual. They lost 13-21 versus the Vikings. Bryce Young was solid, completing over 75% of his passes, but only like 200 yards, so not great there. A plus side for the Panthers is that you got guard Austin Corbett back, so maybe that can help your offensive line. Maybe that can help Bryce Young a little bit, but still not looking too good for the Panthers so far this season. Even worse is that you don't have your number 1 overall pick. You don't have your first round picks. Right now, the Bears have the number 1 and the number 2 overall picks for next year's draft. So that leads me into the next team, which is the Chicago Bears, who moved up 1 spot because, they obviously lost this week, right? They're 0-4, lost to the Broncos 38-20 or 31-28. Bears were doing really good, though. They were up 28-7 at one point. Justin Fields actually looked like a good NFL quarterback this week, which might be more telling about how bad the Broncos defense is. But either way, Justin Fields played really good, having 335 yards and 4 touchdowns to only 1 interception. And also completing 80% of his passes. Yeah, he played amazing. Khalil Herbert had 100 yards. DJ Moore had 131 yards and a touchdown. Cole Kmet had 2 touchdowns. Yeah, their offense was great. They were up 28-7 at one point, and then they blew that lead to lose 31-28. But actually losing for the Bears is probably what's best for them this season anyway. So, yeah, I don't really care about that. Also, safety Eddie Jackson is going to miss Thursday night game, so that hurts him a little bit. But they also are getting back offensive tackle Tevin Jenkins, so that should help them also a little bit. Next team, number 30, is the Denver Broncos. So, yeah, they moved up 1 spot after winning a game versus the Bears. So now they're 1-3. Like I just said, they won 31-28 after being down 28-7. So, obviously, it's a good win for the Broncos. But the fact that you were down 28-7 against the Bears just also shows kind of how bad the Broncos are. Russell Wilson did good, having 3 touchdowns, completing 75% of his passes. Good game for him. He's been doing pretty good all season. The Broncos defense is not helping them out at all. Also, they just cut linebacker Randy Gregory, so I don't know how much that's going to hurt their defense. The defense kind of sucks anyway, so it can't hurt them too much. But yeah. Number 29, the New York Giants at 1-3. So they're stayed at the same spot they just were. They lost 3-24 versus the Seahawks. Obviously not a great performance, only putting up 3 points. Daniel Jones was 27 for 34, so he completed nearly 75% of his passes, but for only 200 yards and 2 interceptions to 0 touchdowns. So not great there. He was efficient, but did not really help him at all. Throwing 2 picks. Yeah. It does not help that he was sacked 11 times this game. So obviously their line has some issues, and it's kind of hard to be a good quarterback when you're going to get sacked 11 times. Number 28 is the New England Patriots, dropping 6 spots from number 22. They are 1-3 now. They kind of just got destroyed by the Cowboys. They lost 3-38. So, yeah, their offense obviously sucked, and their defense did not do much better. So, just a really bad game overall. Mac Jones only had 150 yards and 2 interceptions. He was benched for Bailey Zappi, so that's kind of sad. The Patriots did trade for corner J.C. Jackson from the Chargers, but he wasn't even playing for the Chargers, so maybe he just needs a change of scenery to be good and play again. But we'll see if he actually makes an impact. And also, they lost Matthew Judon to the IR. He got injured. He's supposed to miss a couple months. So definitely not looking good for the Patriots right now. Number 27 is the Las Vegas Raiders, moving down only 1 spot after losing to the Chargers this week. So, yeah, they lost 17-24 versus the Chargers without their starting quarterback. So, Garoppolo was out this game. Aiden O'Connell was in. He had 238 yards and one pick, so, not horrible. He was sacked 7 times, 6 of those being by Khalil Mack himself, so, it does not help to put your rookie quarterback in his first game getting sacked 7 times. But he did not look horrible overall. Josh Jacobs was really good with 139 yards and a touchdown, but yeah, they ultimately lost the game. And they cut Chandler Jones, who hasn't played for them yet this season, but there was hope that he could play later on in the season, but they did cut him, so, all hopes of him playing again are thrown out the window there. Number 26 is the Arizona Cardinals, moving down 2 spots from number 24. They got blown out by the Niners, 16-35. I mean, can't blame them. The Niners are looking like a really good team so far. So they didn't do horrible this game. Joshua Dobbs had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Receiver Michael Wilson had 2 touchdowns. I mean, I don't even know who that is, but yeah. So they didn't play completely horrible, but they did not play good. Have them moving down 2 spots. Number 25, I got the New Orleans Saints moving down 5 spots after getting beat by the Bucks 9-26 versus the Buccaneers. I would have expected the Saints to put up a better of a fight, but Derek Carr only threw for 127 yards this game, which is not good. So the Saints, they got to figure out some stuff on offense. Their defense has done pretty good all season. Their offense has just been struggling, so they got to figure that out. So right now I got them at number 25. At 24, we got the Falcons, dropping 5 spots as well. Moving to they were number 19, dropped to 24. They lost 7-23 versus the Jags this week. Desmond Ridder has not looked great this season, and he did not look great this week, throwing for only 191 yards with 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. So not a great performance from Ridder, which is, kind of unusual this season. I think they should probably look to potentially turn to Taylor Heinicke soon if Desmond Ridder doesn't actually get them a spark on offense, because Taylor Heinicke, no, he's not a great quarterback, but he usually, gets a spark going in the offense at least. Bijan Robinson had 137 yards. He's been the bright spot of the offense so far. Quarterback play has been inconsistent, and maybe Taylor Heinicke is a solution there. But does not look like they're going to turn to him soon. I think they should, but they haven't made any announcement with that, so we'll see what happens there. Commanders at number 23. We're number 26, so moving up 3 spots after a loss. You might think that's a little weird, but they only lost by 3 in overtime to the Philadelphia Eagles. So they played pretty solid. They scored 31 points. They lost 31-34. Put up a really good fight against the Eagles, which, I think that's pretty telling that this Commanders team, obviously last week they got blown out by the Bills. And then, they played a really good game against the Eagles. So I think this is more of the Commanders team we're going to see. Someone that may not beat the good teams, but could at least compete. Sam Howell looked better this week, throwing for 290 yards and a touchdown rather than throwing for 4 interceptions. So, it helps when your quarterback doesn't throw picks. You usually do better. So, number 22 is the Jets moving up 1 spot after losing to the Chiefs. They lost 20-23. But, Zach Wilson played really good this game. He had 245 yards and 2 touchdowns. He outperformed Patrick Mahomes pretty sustainably. Like, it was a pretty good margin that he outperformed Mahomes, which has not been said by anybody throughout Mahomes' college and NFL career thus far, which is kind of crazy. Hopefully Zach Wilson can continue that level of success. Probably not, but you can always hope. They also said that Breece Hall should be getting more touches in the future. He's been on kind of a pitch count, recovering from the ACL injury, but Robert Saleh said he should be getting more workload in the coming weeks. So that should help them. At number 21, we got the Minnesota Vikings. They were number 18, so they're moving down 3 spots after a victory over the Panthers. They won 21-13. But Kirk Cousins did not look great. Only 139 yards this week. with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Justin Jefferson also had 2 touchdowns, so he did good. But Kirk Cousins, you got to do better than 139 yards. Like that's just, I mean, that beat the Panthers, but that's not going to beat very many teams. So that's why I have them dropping 3 spots after taking a dub. Number 20, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were number 13, so they're moving down 7 spots after kind of an embarrassing loss here to the Texans. They lost 6-30. So I don't understand how you guys only put up 6 points and you got absolutely blown out by the Texans. Like, I mean, the Steelers' defense is what's been usually good for them, and their defense let the Texans' rookie quarterback, C.J. Stroud, light you up for 30 points. So they obviously have had problems with their offense all season, but their defense has been consistent. In this game, neither one of them looked really good. So, yeah, they're going to move down 7 spots. Bengals at 19. We're number 7. So after the first 2 weeks when they started 0-2, I'm thinking it's okay. The Bengals started 0-2 last year, and then they turned things around. So after a week 3 win, I thought they were turning things around. But after week 4, getting blown out by the freaking Titans, 3-27, this does not look like a good team right now. Joe Burrow looks injured, and he should probably rest a couple games because Joe Burrow, the way he's playing right now, is not winning you football games. So I think it'd be better to put your backup in and give Joe Burrow some rest because even if you lose those games, it's not like you're winning games anyways. So you might as well try your backup out to get Joe Burrow healthy. Number 18 is the Packers, moving down 3 spots from number 15. They lost on Thursday Night Football to the Lions, 20-34. Not great for them. Jordan Love had 2 interceptions this game, not great. Their offense had under 30 rushing yards this game, so not great there either, obviously. And also, it announced that David Bakhtiari is going to be injured for the season, so their offensive line taking a hit there. Yeah. Number 17, I got the Colts moving down 1 spot. They lost this week in overtime to the Rams by 6 points, so played pretty solid. They were down 23-0, and then they got the game tied 23-23 before ultimately losing 23-29 in overtime. So they played pretty solid versus the Rams. Also, Jonathan Taylor should be back this week. So that should help their offense. Anthony Richardson had 3 touchdowns this week, but he only completed 40% of his passes, so got to do better there. But yeah. Number 16, I got the Tennessee Titans, moving up 14 spots. The Titans have been very inconsistent this year. Ryan Tannehill has looked good in 2 games and has looked horrible in 2 games. So, they're sitting at 2-2 right now. They just beat the Bengals 27-3, who I thought were a pretty solid team. Obviously, you already saw where I ranked the Bengals this week, but yeah, the Titans, if they're going to play like they have been, that's a pretty middle of the road team. I have number 16. Good week, bad week. Good week, bad week, which ultimately leads them to be an average team. And 16 is about as average you can get in a power rankings list. So that's what I got to say about them. Texans at 15. They were number 25. They are 2-2. They just had a very dominating win over over the Steelers, 30-6. C.J. Stroud has thrown for over 300 yards multiple times this season, which is amazing. 306 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. Nico Collins had 168 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. C.J. Stroud has looked like the best rookie quarterback this season by far. Nico Collins is looking to be a really good wide receiver 1 option for them. So, that's a connection that should only continue to succeed this season. Number 14, I got the Cleveland Browns dropping 2 spots. They kind of got blown out this week against the Ravens. They lost 28-3. But Deshaun Watson wasn't even playing. They had their backup rookie quarterback in, who only threw for 121 yards and threw 3 picks. But Deshaun Watson should be back this week, so I'm not going to put too much stake into the one game that they had with a backup quarterback, because Deshaun Watson should be back this week, so they should be doing much better offensively there. Number 13, we got the Buccaneers moving up 8 spots after a convincing win over the New Orleans Saints. So they won 26-9. Did really good on defense there, only allowing 9 points. Baker Mayfield threw for 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, and only 1 interception. So pretty solid game from Mayfield there. Godwin had 100-plus yards. The Buccaneers have just looked like a really good team so far. They're definitely looking like the favorites currently to win their division. Obviously, like the Saints and Falcons still have a chance, but the Buccaneers are looking like the favorites to win that division, especially if Baker Mayfield continues to play as good as he has been recently. Number 12 is the Jaguars, moving up 5 spots from number 17 to number 12. They had a 23-7 win over the Falcons, so pretty convincing win over there. But usually the Jags tend to have success when they play in London, so, and they played the Falcons, so, yeah, but it was a solid win nonetheless for Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, he had 200 yards and a touchdown, so nothing great for him, but it was solid. Yeah. Number 11, I got the Los Angeles Rams. They were number 14, so they're moving up 3 spots after a win in overtime over the Colts. They won 29-23. They were up 23-0, and they let the Colts come all the way back to force overtime. That's a little bit concerning. But Stafford this game threw for 320 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception, so not great there, but 300-plus yards is good. The running back, Kyren Williams, had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, so solid there for sure. Puka had 163 yards and a touchdown, got his first touchdown of the season. He's looked like an absolute stud, and they should be getting Cooper Kupp back this week. It's going to be interesting to see if Kupp does indeed play this week, to see how him and Puka both work in this offense. But yeah, so they should be, Stafford should have a day having Puka and Cooper Kupp to throw the ball to. Number 10, I got the Chargers moving up 1 spot. Number 10, we're number 11. So they played the Raiders this week and won 24-17. Not all too convincing of a win, especially considering they played a backup quarterback, but, it's a win nonetheless. Herbert was not great, only 167 yards with a touchdown and an interception. But he did have 2 rushing touchdowns, so that makes his numbers look a little bit better. Also this week, they traded J.C. Jackson to the Patriots. So not that he was playing anyways, but I just thought that was worthy to note. And center Corey Linsley is on the IR, so that hurts their offensive line a little bit. But yeah, number 10 for the Chargers. Number 9, I got the Lions. They're staying at number 9. They had a convincing win over the Packers on Thursday Night Football, 34-20 win. Jared Goff had 200 yards with a touchdown and a pick, so, decent, but nothing great for Goff there. Running back David Montgomery had himself a day with 141 total yards and 3 touchdowns. So he did really good this game. Their corner, Jerry Jacobs, had 2 interceptions of his own against Jordan Love, so solid for him. Solid win for the Lions. Number 9. Number 8 is Seattle Seahawks at number 8, moving down 2 spots from number 6. So they had a convincing win over the Giants, 24-3, and they're moving down 2 spots, which doesn't seem like it fits too well, but it's just mostly because of what I saw from the teams below them rather than what the Seahawks actually did wrong. So they had themselves sitting at 3-1. They won 3 games in a row. Like I said, they won 24-3, but Geno Smith didn't really play great. He had only 110 yards and a touchdown. He did get hurt in this game and missed a little bit of time, but still, between him and Drew Lock, they only had 173 passing yards, so, not great there for the Seahawks, but still a convincing win nonetheless, so number 8 for the Seahawks. At number 7, I got the Miami Dolphins, dropping 6 spots from number 1 all the way to number 7. Obviously, last week they scored 70 points and dominated, so they had them moving up to number one for a very brief stint. Back here, they're falling back down to earth after taking a brutal beating, 20-48 versus the Buffalo Bills. They put up 20 points, which is decent, but nothing great. They let up 48 points, which is horrible, honestly. Tua he was okay, had 280 yards, a touchdown with one pick, so nothing great, but he was all right. Devon Achane had 100 yards and two touchdowns, so he was pretty solid. But yeah, you can't be losing by 28 points after beating a team by 50. It just shows the flaws in your team. Also, offensive tackle Tron Armstead is injured for a few weeks, but they did get guard Robert Jones back. So they lost a lineman, gained a lineman, so we'll see how that plays out for them. But yeah, number 7 for Miami. Number 6, I got the Kansas City Chiefs, dropping 3 spots after taking a win versus the Jets, 23-20. So yeah, they did win, but Patrick Mahomes only had 200 yards and 1 touchdown to his 2 interceptions. So Mahomes did not play a good game at all. He got outdueled majorly by Zach Wilson. But they still won the game, so not much to complain about for them. Isaiah Pacheco had himself 150 yards and a touchdown this week. So Mahomes did not play great, but Pacheco carried the offense. Still a solid win for the Kansas City Chiefs, although Mahomes did not play great. Number 5, I got the Eagles. It's kind of weird that they're 4-0, one of the 2 4-0 teams, and they're only at number 5 here. But, they barely beat the Washington Commanders. They beat them by 3 points, 34-31 in overtime. They let the same Commanders team that only scored 3 points versus the Bills last week score 31 points versus them this week. That's kind of scary considering the Eagles' defense was supposed to be the better part of their team. And the Bills, held this team to 3 points, and you let them score 31. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Eagles' defense is actually legit. They're getting wins, but their wins so far have not been too convincing. Number 4, I got the Baltimore Ravens jumping 6 spots after a very convincing win over the Cleveland Browns. I know the Browns did not have their starting quarterback this week, but it was still a very convincing win for Baltimore. Their offense was great. Lamar Jackson had 2 touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, as well as 2 rushing touchdowns. He completed over 75% of his passes this week. This same Browns defense has been the best defense in football, and Lamar Jackson lit him up for 4 total touchdowns, with only 4 incompletions also. So really good game for the Baltimore Ravens this week. Number 3, I got the Cowboys jumping up 5 spots from number 8. They had a very convincing win, 38-3 over the Patriots. So aside from their game versus the Cardinals, they've only allowed 13 points in the other 3 games this week. So really good game for the Cowboys here. Like I said, they put up 38 points. Dak Prescott was 28 for 34, so completed over 80% of his passes for 260 yards and a touchdown. And their defense this week had 2 defensive touchdowns. So the Cowboys were doing really good on both sides of the ball. Number 2, I got the Bills jumping up 2 spots from number 4 to number 2 after a 48-20 win over the Miami Dolphins. So they held this team that put up 70 points to only 20 points this week, and they themselves put up 48 points. So aside from week 1 against the Jets, where they lost by 1 point, they've won their next 3 games by at least 28 points. So the Bills have been absolutely dominant over the last 3 weeks. This game specifically, Josh Allen had 320 yards and 4 touchdowns. Stephon Diggs had 3 touchdowns, so they obviously did really good. A bad thing for the Bills is that Tre'Davious White is now injured for the season, but they should also be getting Von Miller back this week. So, they don't play the same position, but that should kind of help replace the void lost by Tre'Davious White. And then number 1, we got the San Francisco 49ers moving up one spot this week after a 35-16 win over the Arizona Cardinals. Brock Purdy threw one incompletion all game, and he had 280 yards and a touchdown. So it's not like he was just throwing short passes that were easy completions. He threw for 280 yards and only threw one incomplete pass all game. That is really good work for him. Christian McCaffrey had 180 yards almost with 4 total touchdowns this week, so he played amazing. Brandon Ayuk had 148 yards this game, so he played amazing. The 49ers have definitely looked like the best team in football on both sides of the ball this season. I would be surprised. It's going to be really fun to watch them versus the Cowboys this week, because neither one of the Niners and Cowboys have really played a really good team. So it's going to be fun to watch two of the best teams in football go at it this week. That leads me into my game picks here, which I'll just go over them here. I got the Commanders over the Bears. I got the Bills over the Jags, the Texans over the Falcons, the Ravens over the Steelers, the Saints over the Patriots, the Lions over the Panthers, the Dolphins over the Giants, the Colts over the Titans, the Bengals over the Cardinals, the Eagles over the Rams, the Chiefs over the Vikings, the Jets over the Broncos, the Niners over the Cowboys, and the Packers over the Raiders. So yeah, my lock of the week is the Lions over the Panthers. I just don't think the Panthers are going to be able to beat the Lions. The Panthers offense has not been good, and the Lions offense is one of the best offenses in the league right now. So I don't think Bryce Young is going to be able to compete with that. Then the upset of the week is the Jets over the Broncos. I mean, if Zach Wilson can play remotely as good as he just did against the Chiefs, he should easily be able to do the same thing against the Broncos defense, who let Justin Fields look like the best quarterback in football. So, Zach Wilson, aside from this week, Zach Wilson and Justin Fields have been the 2 worst quarterbacks in football. And Justin Fields lit up the Broncos defense, so I don't see why Zach Wilson can't do the same thing. So from week 4, my record went 12-4, so pretty solid. My lock of the week and upset of the week from week 4 both hit, making my lock of the week so far record be 5-1, and my upset of the weeks has been undefeated so far, bringing my total record to 47-17, which is a pretty solid overall record, I would say. But yeah, that's all I got. So thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts. And make sure to check back next week for an updated power rankings list.